welcome and a gracious introduction. I wondered if I needed to have my face marred with blood and dust to come out here after that inspiring quote, but I chose not to. I'd like to thank Principia College and the Euphrates Institute for bringing us all together, and also to everyone here for choosing to give the time. I think that is one of the most precious commodities we have these days, is our time. And to devote the time to be here, to learn, to be inspired, and to recommit our lives to be of service is a tremendous gift. So thank all of you for being here. It is a privilege to be able to bring you greetings and love and peace on behalf of the global community of the United Religions Initiative. We have, at this point, work going on in 78 countries through 530 local groups we call cooperation circles. I'm delighted to say that the Euphrates Institute is one of those cooperation circles. All of those groups come together around a focus that's articulated at the beginning of the charter we signed in June of 2000 to launch this organization. And it goes this way: we, people of diverse religions, spiritual expressions, and indigenous traditions throughout the world, hereby establish the United Religions Initiative to promote enduring daily interfaith cooperation, to end religiously motivated violence, and to create cultures of peace, justice, and healing for the earth and all living beings. We heard a lot in the talks from the remarkable presenters this morning about consciousness of us and them. One of the gifts that I found in URI is that there is a sense that we are fundamentally all one. As a dear colleague from Ethiopia, a man named Samir Yusuf, whose father is Muslim and mother is Christian, says, it helps you to be one and different at the same time. URI believes that ordinary people can accomplish extraordinary things. The I in URI stands for initiative, and that means that it's really up to each one of us to take the initiative, to follow our dreams, to follow our convictions, to help make the world more in line with the way we imagine it should be than settling for the way it is when it so often manifests oppression, injustice, the plague of poverty, violence. So we've created a global community of ordinary grassroots folks who are committed to doing extraordinary things. And I'll talk about that, but first, if you're like me, after this morning, I am full. And we just had lunch, so we're even fuller. Part of my spiritual practice is that when I'm full, it's important to empty. So I'd ask us to take a moment to empty, to be still, and go to that deepest place inside where we connect with what is truest in us and connect with the source that brought us into being. And as we do that, I'd ask each of us to imagine the human community, and indeed the whole earth community, and imagine not us and them, but imagine that we are one. Think of our sisters and brothers from all faiths, no faith, all around the world, who would love to be sitting here right now, who would love to have had the lunch we just had, because they wake up hungry, they go to bed hungry, and often they die hungry. Think of our sisters and brothers who would love to be in this beautiful, peaceful place, because they live in climates of violence and never know when that violence will take their lives. They live in fear. Parents that their children will succumb to violence, children that their parents may disappear. Let's invite all our sisters and brothers on this planet in our stilling and emptying to fill this space and be here with us, because there is no us and them. There is only us. It lives in the sea or a tree as it grows. You can hear it if you listen to the wind as it blows. Stand in a river as it flows to the sea. It's the sound in the sun of one becoming free. And you can hear it in the laughter of children at play, and in the blazing sun that gives light to the day. It moves the planets and the stars in the sky. It's been the mover of mountains since the beginning of time. Oh, mystery, you are alive. I feel you all around. You are the fire in my heart. You are the holy sound. You are all of life. It is to you that I sing. Grant that I may feel you, always, in everything. Thank you. Those words from a song on a birth mass by Paul Winter have always inspired me because they point to what is true, I think, for all people. Regardless of what names we use, how we're called, there is a source of life that animates us, that fills us with the potential for goodness, for love, for service, for connection, and calls us to be in community with each other in ways that are mutually respectful and upbuilding. And at its heart, URI is about creating that sort of a community. Some years ago, I was in Manhattan, on the street at 3:30 in the morning, waiting for a cab to get to the airport. And I thought, I may still be here tomorrow at this time. There may be no cabs. But almost immediately, a cab came around the corner, pulled up, and I thought, there must be an angel behind the wheel of that cab. And it turned out there was. And the angel happened to be a Pakistani Muslim. We had a great talk on the way to the airport. This was a year after September 11th. He told me how he lost his job at an accounting firm and was now driving a cab, struggling to send money to his family who had returned to Pakistan because they didn't feel safe here. And as we talked for a while, he then asked me what I did. And I told him that I work in an organization that seeks to bring people of all faiths together to work for peace. He said, that is so important. And you know, even though I am proud to be a Pakistani, I've always felt that before I was a Pakistani, I was a citizen of the earth. And I'm proud to be a Muslim. I'm nourished and enriched by my Muslim faith. But I've always felt that before I was a Muslim, I was a child of God. I said to him, I can't tell you how many times I've said the same thing, except instead of Pakistani, I've said American, and instead of Muslim, I've said Christian. In URI, one of the things that becomes possible as you get to know people from all different parts of the world, all different faith traditions, is that you come to find yourself in the middle of a community where people are able to claim as a primary identity that we are all children of one source, and we are all citizens of the earth community. And from that primary identity, we're able to claim our unique identities. I'm Christian, I'm Muslim, I'm Hindu, I'm Buddhist, I'm Jain, I'm Zoroastrian, I'm Hindu, Native American, I'm an atheist. Ooh. I've had lots of atheists say, are atheists welcome in URI? Say, if you're willing to roll up your sleeves and work in a way that is mutually respectful, come on in. Because what we're about is finding the deepest and best in our faiths and putting it into action. Putting it into action in ways that matter for people locally around the world. And I'd like to give you a few examples. I think right now of a wonderful man named Biswadev Chakraborty, born into a high Brahmin caste, a Hindu in India, who was blessed with incredible musical ability playing the tablas. But he came to be very uncomfortable with the barriers that divided him, the caste barriers and the religion barriers. And so he created a band called Ekton, which means with one note. The members of Ekton are from different faiths and from different castes. So when they go into a rural community in eastern India and play, it's a revolutionary act to see people who are considered untouchables and high caste Brahmins, Muslims and Hindus and Christians playing music together as one community. And then what's even more extraordinary is when they finish playing music, they sit down and eat together. Now, we may take something like that for granted. We learned earlier today that context is important, and in that context, to see someone who is high caste and someone who is considered untouchable eating the same food is a revolutionary act and a transformative one. They then use their music as a platform for social change. They offer medical clinics, they do computer literacy programs so that young people have new possibilities growing up. I think of a young woman, Despina Namwembe, who is in Kampala, Uganda, who right now is working on a program reaching out to disaffected young people who could easily be lured into a terrorist network, and trying to help them through interfaith cooperation find new ways to belong, new hope in their community. These are individuals who have become part of a network. They believe their work can help transform the world. I think of a woman named Marites Africa, who lives in Manila in the Philippines. When she first found out that there was something like the United Religions Initiative, she said, I really want to be a part of that. What do I need to do? Well, you need to find people from at least 2 different faiths, and at least 7 of you, and come together and ask what you'd like to do to make a difference in your community. She said, great, I'll do it. Went home and discovered that, as she reflected, as a Roman Catholic in a country that is over 90% Catholic, she didn't know one single person who wasn't Catholic. So what did she do? She picked up the yellow pages of the phone book, and she started looking for other faith communities. And she got her courage up, called people, and little by little found people of other faiths who were interested in coming together and learning about each other. And so they created a circle called the Peacemakers Circle. They realized if we want to be peacemakers out there in the world, we need to be peaceful inside. We can't go out there, as so many people we see, and be violent about being a peacemaker. So they started sharing practices from each of their faith traditions, doing inner work to become more peaceful. And as they felt comfortable in that, they began offering classes so people in the broader community could experience the same thing. As that took hold, they said, well, let's see if we can find something more challenging to do. And so they connected with one of the poorest, most violent-ridden communities in Metro Manila, a community called Tala Community. It had very poor intra-Christian violence, intra-Muslim violence, and intra-faith violence. Almost no one got along. There was a high level of crime, a great deal of violence, but they started going one by one to the people who had been identified as leaders, Christian and Muslim, asking them, would you like to see your community be different? When you dream about the community you'd like to see these children grow up in, is this it? Or is it something else? And if it's something else, would you like to be part of a group that might help make the community something else? Often, Marites told me in those meetings, they would hear gunshots and would have to drop to the floor. But they kept going back until enough leaders had said, yes, we want to be part of changing our community. So a Christian-Muslim Leadership Council was created. That council said, we'd like to do some of that inner work you told us about, because we need to be peaceful if we want to be peacemakers. So they began doing inner work, and out of the inner work, they began then looking at concrete projects they could do. They raised money and dug a deep water well, so there was fresh water in the community. They found doctors and nurses to volunteer to come in and do free health care for the community. And when the government of Metro Manila caught wind of this, they said, we'd like to help too. We'd like to partner with you on creating a community store so people don't have to go out of the community to buy the basic staples for their lives. They can stay in the community and their money can stay in the community. But there has to be joint Christian and Muslim leadership for us to be involved. And they said, well, that's easy. We have a Christian Muslim Leadership Council. When that became successful, they said, well, we'd like to go a step further and cooperate with you on a livelihood project, doing micro-lending. And we'd like to create a 3-year program and increase the funding each year if you're successful. In the first year, they met the first year's target in 6 months, and the government asked them to please go into 3 other communities that were likely in similar situation. One woman who felt called to make a difference, a container that gave her a little bit of guidance and ways to reach out with people, to people of different faiths, in a world of difference. That story, stories like it, can be told all over the world. One of the things that, in the context of our focus on the Middle East, that I would offer, our global governing board right now has on it a Jew from Israel and a Muslim from Palestine. So when our global governing board gets together, they get together to help take counsel for the work of URI globally and also as part of a regional leadership team. In a world where there are so many reasons to despair and so much impulse where we can be paralyzed, I know I wake up each day grateful to be a part of a community where people move past despair, move past that paralysis and say, together we can make a difference. Together we can be a model for the world we want to live in. And I was touched, deeply touched by Dr. Ilhan's words this morning. The pain, but also the fierce determination to want to shine a new light in the world. And I'll just hold this up. It's something that we're doing right now. It's a pledge people can sign up on our website. Intolerance ends with me. And it says on the back, I envision a world where all people are valued and their differences respected. I pledge to take one action every day to promote respect for diversity and make my community a place where everyone is welcome. I would invite you, if you're interested, to go to our website, uri.org, and take the pledge and see where it leads you. 18 years ago, I heard about an early vision and said a few words, I'd like to help. My life's never been the same since. And I know for many of you, you've said that over and over again, but as we sit here today, I would urge all of us to never stop saying those words, I'd like to help, and following our words with our deepest commitment.